Hey YouTube, I want to talk about this situation between Marlo and Kandi. So for the Real Housewives of Atlanta season 15, they done gave Marlo a peach, and her storyline for this season is all about Kandi and attacking Kandi and this stupid beef with Kandi. Because frankly, we don't give a fuck about Marlo herself. We don't give a fuck about what she has going on at home with her nephews, and we don't know what Marlo does to even earn her money. She's made some claims before that she dated a billionaire and she had that fake ass Rent-A-Center outfit event the last season. But other than that, we truly don't know what this bitch does for a living or how she gets her money. Knowing her past, I wouldn't be surprised if it comes out that she's a fucking scammer, that she steals credit cards and she's using that to pay her bills and buy her shit, because we don't know what the fuck Marlo does to be talking big shit the way she talks. We still don't know. The way she sits up and says that Kandi doesn't share enough about her life. Well, we don't even know what the fuck this woman does, and how she gets her money and why she's even on the show. She came on the show by riding someone else's wave. I believe she was friends with Nene or Phaedra or whoever the fuck it was. But Marlo herself, Marlo on her own, she was never interesting. She just added drama to the show, and with other cast members leaving, I guess they felt like they needed someone else, and they chose Marlo. So basically, the situation with Marlo and Kandi is that there was a shooting at Kandi's restaurant, where her nephew got shot and injured. And if y'all don't know, there is a lot of crime in Atlanta right now, especially with robberies and gun violence. And it's not just happening in Atlanta. It's happening all over the country. We know we have an issue with violence and crime and gun violence as well. It's not just happening in Atlanta. It's not just happening in Kandi's restaurant. People's homes are getting invaded. People's businesses are getting robbed. People are getting robbed, in parking lots, everywhere, basically, in this country, in this economy, there's an uptick in crime in a lot of different areas. So it's not just happening to Kandi, or at her restaurant. This is a situation that's happening in our country in general. So basically, there was someone who came into Kandi's restaurant and, shot Kandi's nephew. I don't think Kandi's nephew was the actual target. Maybe they went in there just to rob them. But nonetheless, someone went in there and shot, Kandi's nephew. So Drew, who is one of the other newer housewives, for this franchise, she asked Kandi politely in front of the other members about the incident. And that's what she called it. She called it an incident. It sounded like she was very sincere in asking Kandi about it. It sounded like she was truly concerned for Kandi and just wanted to make sure that Kandi and everyone else was safe and okay. It sounded like that question came from a good place. She was just asking Kandi, if everything was all right. And Kandi basically said that she couldn't speak on it because it's an ongoing investigation and this, that, and the third. Now, Marlo's messy ass wanted that situation to turn into a situation where everybody was judging Kandi for something that she didn't have anything to do with. Marlo wanted Drew to basically call the incident what it was, a shooting, so that Kandi could look bad. Okay, because Marlo is on a mission to destroy Kandi's character. She's on a mission to make her businesses look bad. She's on a mission to make Kandi look bad because Marlo is jealous of Kandi. Okay, Kandi and Kenya are everything that Marlo wishes she could be. Okay, Kandi has a mother that loves her. She has a husband. She has children. She has multiple successful businesses. She's very wealthy. She has Grammy Awards. She was just nominated for a Tony. Kenya is known as the breadwinner on the show. She's known as having the highest net worth. And Kandi is well respected by her peers. Marlo is always speaking about how everyone just respects Kandi and loves Kandi and doesn't want to bully or push Kandi. And Marlo is jealous of that. She's jealous of the fact that Kandi is an icon and that she herself is an ex-con, in the words of Kenya, okay? Marlo, as we all know, we don't know what she does for a living. We don't know how she gets her money. We don't know this about her, but we do know that she's a hood rat who came from the hood. We do know that she's an ex-con. We do know that she went to jail. We do know that she assaulted another woman. That is what we know about Marlo. But, you know, and Marlo is embarrassed about that because people keep bringing it up. But when it comes to Kandi, although Kandi, you know, has gotten into it with other cast members, Kandi is more respected than Marlo is, and Marlo is jealous of that. And it's also the same thing with Kenya. Not a lot of people like Kenya on the show, but Kenya is still everything Marlo wishes she could be. Kenya is gorgeous. You know, she won Miss America. She's been in movies. Kenya has her own businesses as well. Kenya has her own home. She has a beautiful daughter. And even Marlo admitted it in the last season. She told Kenya this. She said, I admire you. I look up to you. You know, I'm amazed by you. I want to be like you. And the thing about it is, Marlo does want to be like Kandi and Kenya. So she secretly admires them for who they are, but she's also jealous of them because Marlo knows that she will never amount to anything that Kandi and Kenya have become. So it's like a love-hate feeling that she has for them. And even Sheree said it in the previous episode. She said that she told Kenya that Marlo wants Kenya's approval. She wants Kenya's attention. And, you know, Marlo is just a different type of toxic because there's no pleasing her, because Marlo refuses to heal herself. Marlo refuses to hold herself accountable. Marlo refuses to grow up and get her shit together and get over her trauma. She would rather just spew it onto other people and then cry victim when people hold her accountable and bring up the shit that she's done, the same way she likes to mock and degrade and bully other people. So anyway, this last episode 6 of this season, really pissed me off because I'm just tired of all the bullshit. So again, this all started because Drew politely asked Kandi about the shooting incident that happened at her restaurant. And then Marlo went in on Drew because Drew didn't push Kandi, because Drew didn't embarrass Kandi. But, you know, Marlo doesn't want to admit that that's what she wanted to happen. What she really wanted to happen was she wanted Drew to push Kandi about the shooting so that people would think that her business is ghetto, classless, and dangerous. And she wanted Kandi to look like, you know, she failed or that she took an L. That's what Marlo wanted to happen. But what happened instead was that Drew was coming from a kind place. She was coming from a place of friendship. She was coming from a place of empathy and really just wanted to make sure that Kandi was safe and that her staff was safe and that everything was going to be okay. But Marlo wanted that to turn into a situation where everybody attacked Kandi. And because Drew didn't do that, that's her real beef with Drew. But Marlo won't admit that. She won't admit that that's what she wanted to happen. So she had to come up with a more elaborate reason or more woke reason that would trigger people and make people feel sorry for her. So this was Marlo's explanation for being so upset. My nephew, who worked for Kandi, was shot. You know, so I'm triggered by the fact that you didn't bring up the word shooting to Kandi because my nephew who worked for her was shot by his roommate. That's what Marlo's reach was. That was her explanation for yelling and screaming in Drew's face. And yes, Marlo was very aggressive when she got in Drew's face, like the way that she did, and shouted and screamed in her face. Just because Drew didn't attack Kandi. Marlo is an aggressive person. She may not be stabbing people anymore, but she is very aggressive in the way that she talks to people and in the way that she carries herself to people when she's talking to them. She got in Drew's face and screamed at her. So, yes, Marlo is aggressive, and she plays that shit with who she knows she can play it with, because she tried to do that shit with Eva too. She picks on younger women or women who she feels like she can do shit like that with. So yes, if Drew feels like Marlo is aggressive, she has every right to feel that way because Marlo is very disrespectful towards Drew. And she did get in Drew's face and scream in her face to the point where I'm pretty sure she spit on her. And if Drew decided to smack the shit out of her in that moment, she had every right to. Okay? So Marlo's fake reasoning for being mad at Drew is because she was triggered about her nephew's shooting. Mind you, turns out this shooting happened in 2020 while her nephew no longer even worked for Kandi. Okay? Marlo tried to make it seem like the shooting was Kandi's fault because her nephew worked at Kandi's restaurant and all this other shit. She tried to say that the dude that shot him was a dude that he met at her restaurant. Turns out that wasn't even true. So then Marlo came back and said, well, she's mad that Kandi didn't send her flowers. She didn't offer to get her record expunged. She didn't offer to do this for her. She didn't offer to do that for her. If y'all watch previous seasons of this franchise, Marlo has been nasty and mean as fuck to Kandi. There were some times where she was being fake nice, but I don't even believe that those times were true because she did the same thing with Kenya. When Kenya was sad about her ex-husband Mark mistreating her, Marlo pretended to be there and comfort her as a friend. But as soon as her and Kenya fell out, what did Marlo do? She taunted Kenya and she laughed at Kenya for her situation with Mark. So if y'all showing clips of Marlo being a fake friend to them in the past, that was all fake. Marlo pretends to like people so that she can get information on them, so that she can get them while they're vulnerable, so that later on when she's ready to be mean again, she can throw that in their face. She can weaponize that against them. That's why I wouldn't let that bitch over my house, and I wouldn't tell her shit either. And Sheree got to be careful as well, because as soon as her and Sheree fall out, the first thing Marlo is going to do is bring up Tyrone and how he did her dirty and all this other shit. Sonya better watch out too. Marlo doesn't know how to be a friend. Marlo doesn't know how to love. Marlo doesn't know how to care about anybody. All she does is pretend to be friends with people so that she can get information on them. And then when she's ready or when she's in her feelings, she's going to go back and she's going to use that to taunt you. I was really disgusted with that scene at that escape room where Kandi, of course, was getting emotional because Marlo's a goddamn liar. This is a very serious topic that you're talking about. Your family member was killed. Okay? Your family member was killed. And you know that that is going to trigger people. And you're using your nephew's tragic death to weaponize it against Kandi for a storyline. I don't know how y'all... Now, everybody can see through Marlo's bullshit. Ain't nobody falling for this shit except for dumbass Sonya and maybe Sheree. But everybody else on the internet, on Twitter and everything, we all on Kandi's side, okay? So we not falling for the bullshit. We know Marlo's full of shit. But for this bitch to use her nephew's death against Kandi when Kandi ain't had shit to do with that. Again, her nephew was not working with Kandi at the time that he passed away. And Kandi didn't even know him like that. Like, yes, Kandi owns the restaurant, but she's not management. She's not human resources. She's not doing none of that. She don't know them personally on that level to know or to at least even have a connection with them. So when Marlo texted her and said that, you know, my nephew used to work for you and he just got killed recently, Kandi did send her condolences, but Kandi didn't know him personally. She didn't have a personal relationship with him. Kandi wasn't even working at the restaurant at the time that he worked there. Yes, she made a few appearances here and there, but Kandi did not have a close bond with him. She did not know him. Not on that level. So I feel like all Kandi owed her was her condolences. Anything outside of that would have been okay, but nobody would have did extra anything. And then Marlo is a bitch that can't even be trusted in the first place. I wouldn't do shit for that bitch. And then a few days after Marlo texted Kandi about her nephew, she texts Kandi again about a business opportunity because she knows Kandi can bring in a bag and she wanted to use Kandi's name to get a bag for herself. She wasn't sad about her nephew then. She done let 2 years go by. 2 years when she didn't have a peach. 2 years when she didn't have a peach and when she didn't really need a storyline, she didn't bring up her nephew then. But now all of a sudden she want to bring up her nephew and turn it into this huge thing because this dusty, nasty, disgusting bitch needs a fucking storyline and she's going to use her family's trauma to do it. It was something else I wanted to say. So yeah, at the escape room, Marlo is being fucking ridiculous. And I can see how Kandi can get frustrated but one thing Kandi needs to understand is when somebody is trolling her. You cannot talk common sense to this bitch Marlo because Marlo knows she's trolling. She knows she's full of shit and she knows that she's not sincere. But this bitch needs a storyline. So trying to reason with her and explain yourself to her is useless because no matter how much sense you're making, Marlo is not going to accept that. She's going to stay on her train because she needs that for a storyline. So even engaging with this bitch Marlo, it's not going to help you at all. She's doing this for a storyline. So the more you engage with her, the more screen time she's going to get. If you would just ignore this bitch and don't talk to her and don't acknowledge shit that she says, she wouldn't have no fucking storyline. I would refuse any scenes with this bitch. If this bitch would have came up to me and said, I want to talk to you. No, I'm not talking to you. I don't owe you shit. I wouldn't give this bitch no play at all because she's using Kandi to stay relevant on the show. And she even tried to use Kandi for a business opportunity after her nephew died. So this bitch ain't sad about her nephew dying. And while Kandi is there frustrated and she's getting, she's crying. And some of y'all got to understand, just because someone is crying, it doesn't mean that they're weak. It doesn't even always necessarily mean that they're sad. They're just emotional, and some people can't help it. They cry when they get emotional, whether it's anger, or some people cry when they're happy. Some people cry when they're anxious. Some people really can't help that. But don't mistake that for weakness. Don't mistake that for pity. Don't mistake it for that. When somebody is crying like that, it's out of anger and it's because they're emotional. And if anything, if Marlo was as distraught about her nephew as she was pretending to be, she would have been crying too. But she wasn't crying. Marlo was laughing at Kandi. Your character is bad because you didn't send me flowers for my nephew, so you're crying. Ha ha. Really, bitch? If these bitches can't see through that evil shit, they're dumb as fuck. And y'all know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Sanya's dumbass. You can't see through that evil shit. You can't see through that? This bitch is claiming to be upset and depressed and distraught and triggered over her nephew's death. But she's sitting here laughing at Kandi for being emotional about the situation. Please be fucking for real. If she was as upset and as distraught and as depressed over her nephew's death, she wouldn't be trying to use this situation to taunt Kandi. She wouldn't be using this situation to laugh at Kandi or try to humble Kandi. If anything, she's just exposing how fucking evil and conniving she is. And then you got dumbass Sandra talking about... Hold on, let me go back. So at this scene at the escape room, Kandi is getting amped up and she's getting angry and Marlo is laughing at her. Mind you, they're talking about a situation where her nephew died, but Marlo's laughing. Okay, so Kandi goes outside, with Kenya and Drew and Monyetta, and Kandi is explaining herself. And it's revealed that Marlo ain't said shit about this for 2 years. And a few days after she sent Kandi that text about her nephew, the few days later, she was calling Kandi about making some money. So this bitch ain't sad about her nephew. This bitch needs a storyline. So Drew is out there explaining like, yes, Marlo is very aggressive, this, that, and the third. And here come dumbass Senya. Oh, Marlo's not aggressive. Stop calling her aggressive. We need to stop talking about that towards black women. Please shut the fuck up. Please shut the fuck up. Marlo is aggressive. She has a history of violence and aggression. And look at how she handled Drew at the last episode where she got in Drew's face and screamed in her face. All because Drew didn't bully Kandi. All because Drew didn't bully Kandi. Marlo was angry at Drew for not humiliating Kandi and got in her face and screamed at her loud as fuck. You gonna tell me that's not aggressive? If anybody has a right to feel that Marlo is aggressive, it's Drew. Be fucking for real. Be fucking for real. If Drew feels like Marlo is aggressive, she has every right to. Because Marlo has been nothing but rude and nasty and mean to Marlo has been nothing but rude and nasty and aggressive towards Drew. Any bitch get in my face and scream at me like that, you asking to get slapped. Okay? Go look at that last episode and tell me that that wasn't one of the lowest forms of disrespect. And here come dumbass Senya. And Senya has no real reason to hate Drew the way that she hates her. No real reason. If y'all look at the first season when Drew and Senya came, it's clear that Senya created this beef with Drew because she needed a storyline. So you just don't like Drew simply because you feel like she's an easy target. Don't go in there and talk about, well, stop calling Marlo. Girl, you don't know Marlo. Senya, you don't know Marlo. And as soon as Marlo feel like she's tired of your ass, she gonna go in on your ass too. She gonna speak on your husband. She gonna speak on your kids. She gonna speak on your sister and your mama. Keep it up, bitch. Keep it up. And you talking about Drew as a lapdog for Kandi. Bitch, you a lapdog for Marlo. So please be fucking for real. Marlo and Courtney and all them other bitches can sit up and kiki and laugh while y'all talking shit about Kandi and you don't say shit. But when Drew expresses that Marlo was being aggressive towards her, oh, Marlo's not aggressive. Stop calling her that. Oh, she a trick? Yeah, she's a trick. Marlo is a hoe. Everybody knows Marlo's a fucking hoe. Everybody knows she's a fucking escort. What did Kenya say? She's a worldwide hoe. Yes, she is. That's how she was getting her money in the past. She was tricking. Sonya don't know shit. I'm sick of Sonya. Sonya can go too because we don't give a fuck about shit she got going on either. If anything, if Drew is the lapdog for Kandi and Kenya, then Sonya is the lapdog for Marlo and Sheree. Okay, that's what Sonya is, because what the fuck else do we need from her? Like, what else is there about her that we care about? We don't give a fuck about shit she got going on. The only thing about Sonya is that she's sticking to Marlo because her ass is scared of Marlo. She wants to be in with the mean girls because she don't even want that smoke with Marlo because she know how Marlo can go. Anyway, I'm really curious to see how the reunion is gonna go. But the thing about it is, trying to argue with Marlo and trying to talk some sense into her, you're not going to be able to do it because Marlo is sick in the head, okay? Marlo is sick, okay? And she knows that she's trolling. She knows that she's reaching for a storyline, so she's going to stick to this story no matter what. So you can't speak no fucking common sense into her. Now, if you want to show your receipts and do that on your own, which I love that Kandi does the speak on it episodes on her YouTube channel. If you want to do it that way, cool. But when it comes to Marlo for the rest of the season, anytime that bitch come up, ooh, and did y'all see that episode where Marlo was banging on Kenya's door while her daughter was in there asleep? Ooh, child. I know Kenya and Kandi got too much to lose to fuck with that bitch, but it was a couple times where Marlo deserved to get smacked. She deserved to get her ass whooped, especially banging on the door with her child in there, and she done told you her child is in there, and you talking about you don't give a fuck, bitch. Whew, child. But anyway, I'm very curious to see how the reunion is gonna go. I'm here for Kenya and Kandi showing receipts, but trying to go back and forth with Marlo ain't gonna do nothing but drag you down with her, because this bitch has no logic. She's not here for facts. She's not here for logic. She's not here for the truth. She's here for a storyline, and she's also a jealous bitch. I just wouldn't fuck with her, because guess what? If Kandi stopped fucking with Marlo, if Kandi stopped talking to Marlo, Marlo ain't gonna have nothing. She's not gonna have anything. We don't even give a fuck about her being friends with the other girls, because her whole personality this season is all about Kandi. So if Kandi stopped engaging with her and stopped talking with her, she wouldn't have no fucking Marlo wouldn't have no fucking scenes that we care about anyway. The only scenes that y'all really watch with Marlo are the ones with Kandi. Okay, so. But yeah, Marlo is sick. I don't give a fuck that she grew up in foster care. Let me tell y'all something. I grew up in a foster family, and it was fucking hard. Every abuse that you can think of, I've experienced it. Neglect, all the abuses that you can think of, and it's a lifetime of trauma, okay? I'm grown and I'm still not over what happened to me, but I am on a healing journey to get over, not get over it, but to cope with it, okay? If you know that you have gone through trauma and you know that you are still dealing with some shit that affects you mentally and how you treat people, you need to get some fucking help. Marlo is still not over what happened to her in her fucking childhood, but instead of trying to get some fucking help, because she swears she got so much money, she swears she got money, she swears she this and she that, she swear all this, bitch, go get some fucking therapy and heal yourself. Because I don't give a fuck what you went through. It's a lot of people that done went through some crazy shit in their childhood and in their adulthood, in their teenage years. It's a lot of people that done went through some shit, but they don't bully people and then turn around and use their childhood or their trauma to make excuses for that shit. I don't give a fuck about you growing up in foster care. I don't give a fuck about none of that shit, because I probably had a worse childhood than you did. But you don't see me going around bullying people, talking shit about people, trying to belittle people, and projecting my insecurities on other people. I don't do that shit because I know it's wrong. And me knowing that I have some internal trauma that I'm dealing with, if I feel myself getting to that point, which I never do because I'm not an evil ass bitch like Marlo is, but if I would ever feel myself being toxic to somebody else, I would take a step back and go get some fucking help. Marlo knows that she's fucked up, but she refuses to get help. So that's why we don't give a fuck about her fucking foster care childhood, because Marlo, first of all, she's an old ass bitch, okay? And I'm not going to tell her to get over it, because like I said, that can cause a lifetime of trauma no matter how old you are. But you swear you got this money, Marlo, and you swear you that bitch. So there shouldn't be no excuse why your ass ain't getting no fucking medical help, some professional help to get your shit together. You choosing to be an evil bitch. You're choosing to belittle people. You're choosing to bully people. You're choosing to be mean as fuck to people. Not because of your fucking childhood, because you are truly an evil, nasty bitch. And that's why people bring up your past, because yeah, you probably stop assaulting people physically, but you still degrade, bully, harass, and hurt people, Marlo. So that's why people keep bringing up your fucking past, because you still that trifling ass girl that did that shit 20 years ago. So fuck Marlo. I'm curious to see what's gonna happen with the reunion. And you know, like I said, ain't nobody on Twitter or social media falling for Marlo's bullshit. We all calling out the bullshit. The only person falling for that shit is dumbass Senya. That's it.